This just in, we are live. Bijou Phillips has filed divorce from Danny Masterson. We just fast-tracked Christopher Melcher in to explain what's going on here. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. We were live. We're talking all Russell Brand. There's a lot of stuff coming in on that story. But oh my gosh, Christopher, this is a surprise. Even your text was like, whoa, I don't think any of us saw this coming because she's been so supportive of him through the trial and everything else. So my immediate question is this a sign potentially that she finally is seeing his guilt? Or is this some way to protect assets in potential civil trials? Let's actually get to the heat of it. Here's what TMZ is reporting. Bijou Phillips has made the decision to end her marriage with Danny less than 2 weeks after he got 30 years for life. According to legal docs obtained by TMZ, Bijou filed to end things Monday in California court. Her attorney, Peter Lauzon, tells TMZ Miss Phillips has decided to file for divorce from her husband during this unfortunate time. Her priority remains with her daughter. This period has been unimaginably hard on the marriage and the family. Mr. Masterson was always present for Miss Phillips during her most difficult times of her life. Miss Phillips acknowledges that Mr. Masterson is a wonderful father to their daughter. She stood through the whole trial, even accompanying to his sentencing. He was convicted of 2 counts. They have a daughter together, born in 2014. She was devastated, Bijou as well, of the sentencing. And a letter in a character reference during the sentencing hearing. Bijou called Danny a life-saving partner to me. So, Christopher, is this, you think, damage for Danny and the truth? Do you think she's finally speaking up, or is this more likely some sort of asset saving for civils? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that first kind of thought comes to mind is about asset protection because Bijou, like you say, has been literally by his side, walking in and out of the courtroom before he was remanded to custody, listened to all that testimony from the first trial that was a mistrial and then the second trial, obviously been through this with him for years. So I don't believe that her views of Danny or any of Danny's responsibility for these events would have changed by a jury coming back and finding him guilty on 2 counts. So it's not like she would say, okay, that's it, you're guilty and I'm leaving now. She would have already formed opinions about this a long time ago. So normally, when you see something like this happening, the civil cases take a backseat to the criminal because in the criminal case, of course, there's a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And in a civil case, how could they go forward with that while he's, undergoing these criminal charges? So usually the civil case is stayed or put on pause, wait for the criminal to finish, and now they're going to proceed with the civil case, which could result in an enormous judgment against him. There would be some insurance coverage potentially for some of the stuff before he was convicted. So the insurance company for his homeowner's policy, we saw this with Amber and Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, etc., coming in and providing defense counsel for a claim, even though it involves potential crimes. So they would initially provide a defense under reservation of rights to, pull that back. Now that he's been convicted, they're going to say, hey, anything that was criminal, we're not covering. And so he's in a lot of trouble right now, and he's severely exposed. So I think for her own sake and the sake of their daughter, I could see why she is saying, hey, we're getting a divorce and I'm taking my half and leaving.
The question there is like, how is that allowed if they were together and those assets are all together, et cetera? Couldn't they say, well, this is clearly just a scam to save assets and not pay them? Does she have to actually, express that they're divorced and she doesn't what does this mean? Can this be fraudulent, I guess is what I'm getting at?
Absolutely. And we've seen that done before. We've seen fraudulent divorces to avoid taxes and judgments. And I've been involved not on the fraudulent side of things, but on the undoing of them or attempts to undo those type of claims. And this is a tactic that has been done. And so the creditors, the victims who would potentially be judgment creditors after their trials are done, can go after Bijou and saying that this was a farce. It wasn't a real divorce. It was done just to take, these assets and divide them. And, look, it's going to depend on how that plays out factually. Now, in these other cases, these people are roaming the streets. They're not in prison or jail. So it's a little bit harder if husband and wife are faking a divorce when they're still living together or something like that, where it looks like, okay, this is obviously fake. Here, Danny is in custody. He's not getting out. And so it sure looks like they're separated. And with this history, I think that it'll be a little harder to say that this is fraudulent, because look at what's going on. He was just sentenced to life in prison potentially. So
yeah, but she was just, granted, as sources said, but she had a very difficult time since the conviction. She loves Danny, has no plans to file for divorce. She'll be by his side for it all. And in fact, apparently Radar Line is also saying she's believing in the sentence and the appeal. They're looking forward to the appeal. Can these quotes come back to haunt her? Plus, there's the whole Scientology aspect of it. Like, that doesn't make any sense given the rules of Scientology that she would do this to him at this point. Does that mean Scientology is going to push him away as well? None of this adds to the potential fraud, because it seems like there's two things happening here, right? She either did finally wise up, which who knows, or she's like, crap. And Danny's even saying it. We got to end this for the sake of protecting you and the kids, because they're going to come after everything. So you got to divorce me. You got to do it. And that could be the secret plan. It just seems so much more complicated with Scientology and all these quotes. No, you don't think it will make it more complicated?
Oh, no, it does. And she's going to have to explain that if the victims get a judgment and sue her and saying, hey, whatever you divided with Danny, we want that back because, we have a claim. I'm sure they're going to be sending letters and stuff like that to that effect. And here the liability for the claims would have accrued before marriage. So this was when, before he was married to Bijou, these incidents occurred. And however, you want to look at California Family Code Section 910A, makes the community estate liable for debts of a spouse that were incurred even before marriage. It's pretty harsh, okay? So most of the time when we're looking at community property, it's whatever you acquired during your marriage is community and it's equal, and whatever debts you incurred during marriage is also community and equal. But we have 910A in the Family Code that could potentially make the community estate liable for his premarital debts. Now, she would have a claim back to saying, look, I wasn't involved in any of that activity. Certainly the community estate didn't benefit from what he did pre-marriage. This was criminal. This should all be allocated to him. And, the court would probably be sympathetic towards that. And so, like I say, she's going to have to push this through. I think what we see in a fraudulent divorce is that they settle unusually quickly, okay? Because a lot of times it just takes time to go through and figure out what everyone's rights are and do financial disclosures, document it, think about it. But in a fraudulent divorce, we see it handled very quickly without any contemplation, fighting, disclosure, anything. Is just done quick. So if it happens like that, that's going to look more suspect, because if we play this out and it's really happening, Danny would be furious, saying, like, literally, like, I am now stuck in a cage for the rest of my life potentially, and you are now bailing with my daughter and divorcing me at my greatest time of need. He's going to say, I'm going to fight you on every single dollar of this estate. He's not going to be like, oh, sure. You want to leave, and I'm just going to be in this prison cell forever. Why don't you just take everything? I got to think he's going to be angry about it, and we would want to see some squabbling if it's real. If there's no squabbling, then I'm going to say it's going to be highly sus.
Well, my brain's just unpacking because, again, we're reacting live, but it's like the whole Scientology aspect of it, of the dirt she has on him, the dirt he has on her. There's probably more to this, too, that it's like we can't even fully process yet. So we will keep you updated on this. This is wild. Ultimately, what's your gut say, Christopher? Come on, give us a little bit. Do you think this is real, or do you think this is for the assets?
I think it's for the assets.
Me too. I do. Because part of me's hoping she'll like come out and expose the truth on him and Scientology and do the right thing. But I don't think she can at this point. It's so deep in it that I suspect this is for the assets, in which case, yikes. That's she and her kid have a chance to get away with this, or are they just as guilty? I want to hear your comments down below. What do you think? Does this anger you? Are you surprised? What do you believe? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure you support Christopher Melcher over on Twitter as well. We are still live, so we're not ending it, but I wanted to clip this and record it and release it while we're live because this news is nuts. What a week, Christopher. More is coming. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet.